to the discussion, and we have a few items that I have identified, taking inspiration, I would say, especially from this morning's speech from Pope Francis. And there is one item that struck me, which is privacy. Pope Francis mentioned the importance of privacy. And as we heard from our fellow speakers, well, they think that they are doing a lot about privacy. But I just think about one example. In a room like this, a while ago, a demonstration was given with a drone that was going around the room and then stopped in front of a person, in front of a lady, took the picture of this lady and then projected it on the screen. We have two screens over here. So imagine that this picture is on the screen, and within seconds, hundreds of information about this person came just through facial recognition. So all of this information is on the internet, and of course is very worrying. I mean, everything, her boyfriend in high school, what degree, children, husband, work, etc., etc. So I think that we should probably address on how we can reassure that privacy will be respected. So Jane, why don't you start, considering you are the global head of privacy, and we try to see what the issues and the problems are and how we can tackle them.
Happy to talk about that hypothetical. At Apple, we believe privacy is a fundamental human right, and I think the hypothetical you identified is something that should scare all of us. The fact that a photo could be put up
sorry,
on...
it was real, it was not hypothetical, but anyway.
Okay.
Yeah,
sorry, the fact situation that Mario described should scare all of us. So the thing that we work on at Apple is not building an enormous profile across all of our services so you can attach everything that you have done online. Very often when you're using our services, you're actually identified with a random number that your device generates. So if you're using Apple Maps, it's associated with a random number. So we're not tracking your location. If you're using Face ID, it's stored on your device. Those are the things that, when I think about privacy, are incredibly important. And I think the Pope's speech in no way was saying that we should compromise privacy. I think what he was saying is that we also have a duty to help where we can to keep people safe. And so, in addition to overseeing privacy, I also oversee the law enforcement compliance function, because the world's privacy laws determine what information law enforcement is legally allowed to have access to.
Thank you, Jane. How do you deal with law enforcement? Do you inform them sometimes, or most of the time they come to you?
We work very, very closely with law enforcement. Law enforcement can submit requests through us. Very often a request will come in and there is a dialogue, and very often law enforcement, I think there was a study recently about some of the issues that law enforcement has with digital evidence. And a lot of the time they'll find a device and they don't even know what company to go to. So they'll find a device and think, oh, I need to access Facebook data, maybe I'll send it to Apple. So one of the things that we committed to doing about 2 years ago was to training law enforcement on digital evidence. So when they do find a device, they know what they can come to Apple for and what they can't. We also have guidelines online. And we are also in the midst of beta testing an online portal that law enforcement will be able to submit their requests digitally and will be able to provide evidence back digitally. And then finally, I have a team that works 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to respond globally to what are considered exigent requests. So if a child is endangered, if there's a possible suicide, there are things that we can do to help locate that child, and we've been successful at doing that.
Thank you. George, I'm sorry, you tempted me because you said that, Amazon is a retailer, is not a social media, therefore is totally innocent about risking intruding into the privacy of individuals, but you sell millions of books, billions of items, from books to grocery, and it's inevitable that your company will retain lots of information that may intrude into the privacy of individual. In fact, there was an accident not too long ago with Alexa. Alexa was a fantastic tool, but then some people realized that Alexa was intruding. They thought it was off, but it was not off in a family, and it recorded certain conversations, and then it sent them back to headquarters in the privacy of a home, and that was an embarrassing moment for Amazon.